There's this rumor going around about a Persona 3 remake. This began with a comment by someone in a Reset Era thread that there would be a remake in the style of Persona 5. What gives this any validity is that this individual also leaked Persona 3, 4, and 5 for Xbox Game Pass, and Persona 3 Portable and Persona 5 for Steam as well. So definitely more intriguing now. What also makes this interesting is Atlus released survey results a few months ago about which games players would like a remake of. Number 1 was Persona 3, but it was also appeared to be tied with Persona 2, but no one's talking about that, well, whatever. Moving on. No, let's not move on. Let's actually take a moment to look at these results, because I'm actually surprised by a few things. Number 1 is how high Persona 2 and Persona 1 ranked, which I suppose would make sense if the most popular games would be 3, 4, and 5, and they've yet to play the first two. Having remakes that bring the quality of life from Persona 5 would make sense for that audience. And for the rest of the list, I would just wish there were ports like for Raido Kuzunoha or Digital Devil Saga. I suppose you could pick them up on PSN for PS3, but we're already on PS5. Lastly, what I found surprising was that Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse ranked slightly higher than the original as far as desirability for a remake, which is funny because I like Apocalypse, but anytime I've heard it discussed, it's mostly to hate on it. So it's kind of surprising that it would even match or even be slightly higher than the original. But back to the discussion at hand. So it might mean something to Atlus to see these kind of results. On the other hand, a Persona concert is taking place early next month, and they've stated clearly on their website there will be no game announcements. I mean, they could be lying, you could hope. Or it's too early to announce, possibly, just possibly, right? I've heard some detractors of these rumors say that why would they want to work on a Persona 3 remake when P3P is coming out so soon? First off, it's a PlayStation Portable game with a lot of limitations compared to its PS2 counterpart. Most obviously, graphics, an overworld that you have to move a cursor over, and no animated cutscenes.
I just put it to my head, pull the trigger. No chickening out. No, I can't.
Now compare that to a Persona 5 quality remake. I don't imagine that would be hard to sell to the audience to pick up another version. Secondly, I thought it was interesting that they didn't port Persona 3 Fez, which makes this rumor make more sense that they wouldn't want it to compete with its own remake. Just a theory of mine, they might not intend to bring over the Femc to the remake. They might believe that if someone wants to play as her, they can just pick up Persona 3 Portable. That would cut out a lot of work needed to remake this game. No female-specific social links, no alternative dialogue, no additional lines to voice act. So that all makes sense to me, which I know would infuriate fans because there's always these debates between Persona 3 Fez and Persona 3 Portable on which is the definitive edition. And most people come to the conclusion is there is no definitive experience for Persona 3. But this also sounds like something that Atlus would do. This is the same company that doesn't want you to stream their games, tried to sell a PS2 remaster for full price, and if it weren't for Persona 4 Golden and Sega, they were completely content to just let their library of games rot on defunct consoles. so I wouldn't be surprised at anything they do. To wrap this up, it may just be a rumor, but let's try and will it into existence just by talking about it, spreading those rumors. I would absolutely love a Persona 3 remake. The original is what started the ball rolling on Atlus's future success. Due to its legacy, there might be those who think it deserves it. Since there's not much to talk about, I'll use this time to ask you, the viewer, what game would you want to see Atlus remake? Or if you're happy with the idea of a Persona 3 remake. I'll start off. Personally, I would want to see an SMT1 remake. I think the premise, certain concepts, and set pieces would still shock people today. The characters would need some work developing their personalities a bit further, but I would almost say that about every SMT game, to be honest. The gameplay would need an overhaul because I imagine most people aren't masochists willing to put up with the encounter rate and sluggish combat. That's all for now.